So today, the title of our song is Unity's 5 Principles, the Laws to Live By. Fillmore, back in 1990, actually created them, put them in words, but it's old ancient wisdom that we now call new thought. What she put together, these 5 principles, aren't anything new. They've been practiced and thought about and preached about for many years, but in Unity we put them in our own words. And Connie Fillmore is the Fillmores, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, who are the founders for Unity. Connie is their great-granddaughter. And these 5 principles are the underpinnings for all of Unity's teachings, and for Unity has this feeling or this belief or this want to love everybody. And these 5 principles are the underpinnings for that. And, it's like the law of gravity or the law of electricity or the law of mathematics, right? They're there. And they are the same no matter what anybody does. And the law of electricity was there, but we just didn't know about it until Ben Franklin came along with his experiments and showed us how it could be used. So this is really about an introduction to how we can use these principles, because in November I'm teaching a class if you guys want to come and take it. We're going to dig in a little deeper, but so the first 2 principles kind of go together. Okay, the first principle 1, is there's only one presence, one power, active as the universe and as my life, God the good. Just like the song said. And, another way of saying it is God is infinite. God is always here and always absolute good. God is omnipresence. And we first must understand, God is everything, and our connection to that truth. Where do we feel that? Where do we experience that in our life? So we look at the Bible, we look at the Bible for our teachings and we interpret it. And we're going to start out with Psalms 139, 7 and 8. Where shall I go from thy spirit? Or where shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend to heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in the darkness, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there thy hand shall lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, let only darkness cover me, and the light about me be night, even the darkness is not dark to thee. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with thee. So wherever we go, God is. And in learning these principles and applying them, we have to do our best to see God everywhere, to see God in all things. In my research in doing this, I heard a story about a fair, like a country fair that was going on, and there was a table with these kind of like a bushel of apples, and it said free apples, and then underneath it said, take one, God is watching. And then a little bit further down on the table was a tray of chocolate chip cookies. And there was another little sign, and the little sign was clearly written in like children's writing, and it said, take as many cookies as you want, God's watching the apples. So that child certainly had one perception of God, right? And we probably all have a different perception of God when we were children than as we grow up. And Ellen Davenport, she's written this book. This is the book that we're going to be using. And what she says in the first chapter is, if I had one wish for the world, it would be that every adult re-examine his or her view of God at least once per decade. God may not change, but people do. And we outgrow our old concepts. The ideas about God that we held at 6 will not serve us at 16, and certainly not 60. Just as children may outgrow peanut butter and opt for spicy curries, we can assimilate more and different ideas about the universe and its workings as we evolve. Instead of changing their thinking, however, too many people simply throw away their belief in a higher power, and with it the divine guidance, wisdom, and comfort that could enrich their lives. So I'm sure each one of us has a story or a journey that we've taken with God. My God as a child was a punishing God, and a God that was loved me, but was watching over to make sure I did what I was supposed to do. And that God didn't love the people that weren't within that particular community. And it didn't sit right with me as a young child. And then when I got into high school, it was like, this isn't working at all. As a matter of fact, my sister and I used to say we were going to church, and we would go into the church and make sure my mother's best friend would see us there, and we would grab a bulletin so we had evidence that we were there, and then we would leave because there was nothing there that resonated with us. So we would go out and be with nature. That's what resonated with us. And then I went on to college, and I started seeking different churches, and then I found my way to 12-step programs, which was churches and a spiritual program, which really served me. And then I went to a workshop, which led me to Hope Church, which is in Amherst, Mass. And I used to drive there. And that led me to here. And what I heard there was that I am good and that we are all good. One of the other quotes that I heard in doing this talk that was really spoke to me, it was, I would rather have questions I can't answer than answers I can't question. In the spiritual religion that I was raised in, I couldn't question anything. It just was, and I had to just believe it. Whereas that's not the case here. I get to question and figure it out and find the answers that work for me and that, find that spirituality within me. So that's what keeps me coming, because the God here at Unity is huge and is in everybody and in everything, and it keeps making me step up and reach up. So that's why I stick around. That's why I'm studying to be a minister. So we all also have strong ideas of what God and good looks like, right? We think that God looks a certain way in a situation. And usually it's something that we agree with that makes us feel good. But what the work is for me is to remember that God is in those things that I don't even like, the things that make me feel uncomfortable. This particular principle is really helpful for me, especially in the political environment, that I have to remember that, and this was the key for me, was to remember that even the people in politics that are doing things that I don't like, that make me feel uncomfortable, in their mind, they're doing good. They're trying to make things better. And that was like my savior. It was like, oh, wow, they're doing the best they can. And I can trust that. I could trust that God in them. And as I pray and see that spirituality within them, that helps rise the whole situation up, because I'm not in angst anymore about it. And it also helps me in situations in my own family and loved ones. We have situations in our immediate family where there are things that are really uncomfortable and really scary for me to see in family members of mine. But I have to remember, and Sean actually said this to me, where's the truth? What is the truth? Is God here? And God is here with them also. A friend of mine committed suicide, and he said to me, remember, God was there with them when they committed suicide. It's like, wow, God is everywhere, even in those places that make us feel uncomfortable and sad and angry. And as I know my experiences, as I remember that, it helps me. So, principle 1, God is. Can you guys say that with me? God is. Yay. So, in the second principle, our essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. This God essence, called the Christ, is fully expressed in Jesus and can be fully expressed in all of us. Another way of saying it is human beings are created in the likeness and image of God, and we are inherently good. A few examples of this principle in Jesus' words is John 10:34. Jesus answered them, "It is not written in your law, is it not written in your law? I have said you are gods." And then in John 14:7, "If you know me, you will know my Father also. From now on, you do know him, and you have seen him." And in Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, this is how John 14 is written. "One will is one will without an element of separateness. I am within my Father, and my Father is within me." Means there is no difference between us and no part of us that is not the same. I am the way and the truth and the life means all reality is within me, and I am in all reality. What I am, you are also. I am within the Father, and the Father is within me. I am within you, and you are within me. You are within the Father, and the Father is within you. There is no difference among us. We are complete and the same. Reality is within us, and we are reality. That really cleared it up for me. That made me feel really grounded in knowing my oneness with God. And even though, like, things that I see that look evil or look insane, it helps me to remember that God is within that person also. And I have to see good in it all. And when I can get myself to see the good, recognize the presence of the divine in it, I know that's going to bring me up and help me to rise above all of it. There was another story I heard that a doctor was sitting at the gates of heaven, and he's with the gatekeeper. And there's a guy that keeps running out with this white coat on. He runs out, and then he runs back in again. And this doctor is like, what's going on? Why does he get to run in and out? And the gatekeeper says, that's God. He's acting like a doctor now. And my point with saying that story is that God is in lawyers, God is in doctors, God is in politicians, God is in the janitor, God is in every one of us. It doesn't matter what we came here clothed as, it doesn't matter what we're doing, God is in every one of us. So to be able to see that is going to help us process and evolve and to heal. And this is what Jesus was able to do, right? When he was being, hung on the cross, he was able to see the good. And what did he say? Forgive them, they know not what they do, right? He was able to see it's mind-boggling to me, but Jesus did things that helped him to get there, and that's some of the principles that we're going to talk about later. But those are some of the things that he was able to come to and know in every ounce of his being, and that's why he is our teacher. To know that God is everywhere present means that we are to love everyone. Now, do we love everyone? I know I don't. It's hard to love people that are hurting other people. But is it our goal to try to love everyone? I know that's my goal, So something in us knows God. Something in us knows complete connection. Something in us knows joy. Something in us knows complete peace that surpasses all understanding. And that's why we keep coming to hear messages like this. That's why we keep going and saying, okay, we need to know and experience this. Ellen, in 5 Principles, she's got several different examples why people do evil things. And one of them is maybe because, children do things that aren't necessarily good for them. And as adults, we have to, correct them. So maybe spiritually, some of us are still toddlers. And in Romans 8:18 and 19, it says, I consider that the sufferings of the present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Creation waits in eager anticipation for the children of God to be revealed. Creation waits for the children of God to be revealed. So that's happening. Our revealing is happening. Every day we try and apply these principles. Are we still children to some degree? Yeah. Are we still learning? Yeah. Reverend Michael Gott, he put together this song, and I won't sing it for you, but I will say the words for you. I see you in all your wonder and your radiance, and I know who you are. Yes, I know who you are. You are the light of God. You are the light of God. I know who you are. Could you imagine if someone said that to all of the criminals in the world and the people who are out there? Could you imagine as infants and children growing up if someone said, you are the light of God, I know who you are, I see you. What a different world we've been in. So it's our job to say that to ourselves and to say it to other people. There's another poem that I love, it's called Divinity. And you may hear me say this on occasion, but this line, I love it. You are magnificent, brilliant in your divinity. Each and every one of us are brilliant in our divinity. We're magnificent. And when we can own that, if we can own it all the time, what a place this will be. We own it in bits and pieces here and there. So that means each and every one of us. is divine, is brilliant, and is seen by God. So we have God is and I am. Can you say that with me? God is, I am. You got the two principles down, you guys. Yay. So unity is known as practical spirituality, and the next three principles are applications. So we got the two foundations, God is, I am, and now we've got, okay, how do we have to use them? So principle 3, we are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. In short, we think and therefore we create. Another way to say this is we create from our thoughts and feelings. So this brings in the law of mind action. Something responds to our thought, whether it's God, whether it's substance, whether it's universal energy, it responds to every thought that we have. Now you might say, if I'm thinking, I want to win the lottery, I'm going to win the lottery. How come I don't win the lottery? Because this substance responds to every thought that we have, our full consciousness. So if I'm thinking I want to win the lottery and I'm abundant and I'm prosperous, and then I go see the gas prices went up 2 cents and I get all bummed out. So it's everything. It's like really being conscious of every thought. Or if I look at my checkbook and I get bummed out, guess what? I'm not in that energy of knowing that I can win the lottery like that. Because I can't, because I'm still having those other thoughts that are lowering my vibration. So it's really about the collective consciousness that we're holding and the vibration that we hold. So that's why you have to be, I think it's Emerson that said it, the guard at the portal of your mind. You have to be the guard to really be aware of what thoughts you're thinking all the time. The substance responds to the sum total of our thinking, conscious and subconscious thoughts. So if you want to know what you're thinking, look at your life. And we can't change what is, but we can change what's going to happen by changing our thoughts. We got what we have by what we were thinking. So if we change our thoughts, we can change what we have. So if you don't like what you've got right now, change your thoughts. Look at what you've been thinking and change your thoughts about it. How I frame what's happening in my life determines what I have in my life. So for example, if I'm looking at things negatively, what am I going to see? Negative stuff, right? If I'm thinking of and looking at things positively, I'm going to see positive stuff. So it's really about, and you know, we all here are like-minded, so we get to nudge one another or say, is that positive or negative? Because I might be hearing it negatively. So it's really paying attention to the awarenesses of our thinking. And, you know, it's not like painful things and hurtful things aren't going to happen to each one of us. They are. But it's really what we do with them. You know, on my 40th birthday, I had a huge aha. For many years, I was picking men that weren't right for me. And I did that intentionally because I thought it wasn't going to hurt when we broke up. Well, guess what? It hurt when we broke up, but I was going into it thinking it's not going to work and they're not the right person for me. So guess what? It didn't work and they weren't the right person for me and it hurt anyway. And this all came to me when I went to see Autumn in New York, right? But anyway, so then the next person I picked, I thought, this is it. This is a great guy. And he died. And I was like, wow, okay. So now what do, you know? But it was such a gift because I hit such a bottom after that it really helped me to build from all of the things that I learned in my 12-step programs and what I learned spiritually on what I think about and what I create in my life. And then I picked this amazing man. And do I still have thoughts and fears about losing him? Absolutely. But now I know enough. You know what? I've got right now. I've got this moment. And by thinking about what's going to happen ruins this moment. So it's really helped me. And the other thing I think about is, you know, I've survived so much. And I've got this amazing community. So it's going to be okay. And if I'm to go, I know he's got an amazing community. So it's just a whole different perspective on how I've created this new life. I'm so grateful. And again, this isn't new stuff. Ancient wisdom, Virgil of 70 BC, he's an ancient Roman poet, said, mind moves matter. Emerson said, great men are they who see that spiritual is stronger than any force and that thoughts rule the world. This is ancient wisdom and new thought. So we've got God is, I am, I create. Let's say it. God is, I am, I create. Yay. Now, to co-create with God, we need tools. And the tools are prayer and meditation. So principle 4 is through prayer and meditation, we align our heart with God, our heart-mind with God. Denials and affirmations are the tools we use. So this is the step that Jesus did regularly. Remember what I said before? We have to be willing to do what Jesus did in order to see the people that are crucifying us and being able to love them and being able to say, forgive them for they know not what they do. He prayed and meditated all the time. And he says, go up into go in the closet and close the door and pray and meditate. Be alone. Be with yourself. Be in the stillness so that you can hear the thoughts of God, because we all have them. And when we shift our thoughts, and we realize that we cultivate our own thinking, and by praying and meditating, we allow those positive thoughts to come. We step away from that kind of victim mentality, and we become the victor because we get to see how and what we get to create in our life. If we think of our mind as soil, okay? Pretty much soil, anything will grow in soil, right? But if we want to grow a garden, what do?
Water it.
We clean the soil out, we pull out the weeds, we feed it, right? We put stuff in it so fruit and vegetables and flowers will grow. Well, with our minds, we have to do that too. So we think of denials as weeding the garden and affirmations as putting the food back into our mind of what we want to grow. And denials aren't denying what is. Denials are denying the power that something has over us. So it's a very amazing. It took me a while to get it, but now that I have it, it's really helpful to know that I have to do that first before I lay the affirmation down. I have to get out the old thinking before I lay down the affirmation of what I want to create. So we've got God is, I am, I create, I pray. God is, come on guys, God is, I am, I create, I pray. Awesome. And the final principle 5, through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truths we know. So knowing all of this is nothing unless we're living it, right? We have to take action. We have to do it. Otherwise, as Mary Morrissey says, knowledge and information is without practice is entertainment. So we have to put things into practice. We have to apply them. She also says there's a difference between knowing about something and knowing it. If you are not living it, you know about it. You don't know it. Our biggest problem is our biggest opportunity. So if you see a problem, something's getting in the way of your prosperity or your abundance, that's your biggest opportunity. That's what we use and love that obstacle so that it no longer becomes an obstacle. That's that part of us that God in us is asking us to rise above and to embrace that part of us. And that's how we apply these principles. And remember that God is the presence of love everywhere. So this principle assures us that wherever we look, God is. And so do you see God everywhere you look? Do you see God in your neighbor? Do you see God in the guy who cuts you off on the highway? Do you see God in your children? Do you see God in your pets? Do you see God everywhere? So that's what is going to help us. Just remember, when you're down to nothing, God is up to something. When you're down to nothing, God is up to something. So don't quit. Don't quit. So to summarize, something's going on in your life, you don't like it. First thing is, God is. That's all there is. If God is the one presence, one power, then God is in this situation also. We got to remember that. And then the second one, there is presence and power in me. And there is presence and power in that which I am in this circumstance. The third thing, what are the thoughts and feelings in me that are helping to set up this drama? How can I change those thoughts and feelings? The fourth one, speaking these words and going into a place of stillness and listening to our guidance. Speaking words of truth and then taking actions that enhance the knowing of that presence. And then the fifth one, this may mean not saying some of the things that you wanted to say. It may be listen to what is best for me and everyone in the situation and then follow that guidance. So those are your 5 steps, and it is, God is, I am, I create, I pray, I live. Again, God is, I am, I create, I pray, I live. One more time. God is, I am, I create, I pray, I live, and so it is. Thank you.